Everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. I would like to call this meeting for the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues to order. So grateful for all of you being here and the time that you are serving our community today. This time I'd like to move down to roll call. Denise will call on you, and please, when she does, if you could state your name and where you are coming from today in terms of city and or county, if you would like, that would be appreciated. Denise, thank you very much.
Sure. This meeting will be broadcast live on CTN Cable 16, ATT Channel 99, online at a2gov.org, CTN. To speak at public comment, call toll-free 877-853-5247 or 888-788-0099. Enter meeting ID 919-8673-1455. Commissioner Solomon?
Matthew Solomon, Commissioner, Ann Arbor, Washtenaw County, USA.
Commissioner Alan Pipkin is not here. Commissioner Button, not here. Councilmember Ghazi Edwin.
Present Council Member Liaison Aisha Ghazi Edwin from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Chair Damon.
Hi, good afternoon. Zach Damon, Chairman, coming to you from Ann Arbor, Michigan, Washtenaw County.
Commissioner Hawkins, not here. Commissioner Pastor, not here. Commissioner Gossage will be joining us later. Commissioner Mozak.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Mozak. I am a commissioner. I'm calling in from Ann Arbor, Washtenaw County.
Vice Chair Keeler.
Vice Chair Keeler, Commissioner also, and from Ann Arbor, calling from my recliner in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Denise. Next, everyone, I would like to move to the approval of the agenda. All of us should have received an electronic copy sent out earlier, but if you did not receive one, please let us know at this time in the chat, and we can give you the link and or send you a copy digitally. If there are any corrections or edits that need to be made to the agenda, please speak up now. If not, is there a move to approve today's agenda?
I'll move to approve, but do we have a quorum?
Yes, I saw Rachel here. Commissioner Hawkins is here. Commissioner
All right, so I'll move to approve.
All
What
right,
was that,
Larry.
Denise?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Mozak, did you have your hand up?
I had it up earlier because we didn't have a quorum until Rachel popped in.
Yeah,
So
okay.
no worries.
I saw her, okay.
Thank you, folks. I do appreciate that. Glad to hear that we do have a quorum this afternoon. So, Larry, you move to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I will second.
All right, Kathleen seconds. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please unmute and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. The approval of the agenda is ready to go. Next, I'd like to move on to the approval of the meeting minutes from November. Of course, there should be a link there to review those minutes if you have not done so. And again, if there are any edits or corrections that should be made from the November meeting minutes, please speak up at this time. Now, if there is not, then I would like to move to approve the meeting minutes from November, and I'd like to make a motion. So are we okay to go ahead and approve the meeting minutes for November?
I'll move to approve.
All right. Larry moves to approve. Is there a second?
I will second.
Oop, I'm sorry, there was a bit of a delay there. Denise, who was that?
I can't see. Could you say that again? Who's second?
I can. Hi.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Donna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christiana. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Okay, Christiana. All right, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes for November, please unmute and say aye.
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 Aye, thank you. And Christiana, I'm so sorry. For the meeting record, do you mind just stating your name, your position, and where you're coming from today?
Hi there. This is Commissioner Christiana Allen Pipkin, and I am tuning in from Ypsilanti, Michigan. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Wonderful. Okay, moving quite along here, folks. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to go to public comment, which is always fun, and I hope there are some community members on with us this afternoon. Do we know, Denise?
I don't see anyone presently.
Okay, no problem. But as always, folks, if you do have a public comment or are viewing this meeting or other meetings and things we are discussing, please always feel free to join us for public comment during our meetings. Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
Moving forward to our special presentations. First of all, I'm very excited for the first special presentation or introduction, rather. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude in introducing the Ann Arbor City Council member and the Commission on Disability Issues new liaison, Ms. Aisha Ghazi Edwin. We are extremely thrilled that you are willing to sit with us and be a part of the Commission on Disability Issues in our efforts to continually make Ann Arbor inclusive and accessible for all. At this time, I'd like to give you a few minutes to just introduce yourself, maybe talk about why the Commission on Disability Issues and the work that they're doing is important to you. Aisha?
Thank you, Chair Damon. And really the honor is mine. I am very excited to be here. A little bit about my background. I have a disability. I have my entire life. Disability justice wasn't really a thing I advocated for. It was just my life. I work for an organization called Detroit Disability Power. I'm the deputy director, and we really advocate for people with disabilities to be civically engaged and participant, because every policy is a disability issue. It's something that I hope to bring to this commission to help us better connect to the city's work, to make sure there's an accessibility lens in everything that is happening at the city level, and to make sure that we're included in what's happening. I worked at University of Michigan School of Social Work. That's where I received my master's. My family immigrated here when I was 3. And I noticed there was within the School of Social Work, there was a lack of any sort of curriculum focus on disability justice. So I created the Disability Inclusion and Accessible Design Certificate Program, which is something that anyone can take. Something that I just wanted to kind of mention here. And otherwise, I really see disability from an intersectional lens. I think ableism and racism and economic injustice and, labor, all of it is so connected. And I know the work of this commission, and I know that you all see it the same way. So I'm excited just to move our work forward together. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Councilwoman. We, again, personally very grateful. And to any commissioners, I would say I just want to open it up to maybe 1 or 2 questions. Does anybody have any questions for our new council liaison? Anything they want to want to comment on at this time? All right, Denise, could we call on some of those individuals that have hands raised?
Sure, I'm seeing now.
Okay.
I'll just start across the top. Commissioner Solomon?
Welcome. Thank you for your service. My question was specifically about that certificate program, just so I can be a little better informed about what's out there for people interested in, becoming educated on this type of work. Can you just say a few more words about that certificate program that you established?
Sure. So it's a continuing education, and thank you for asking that, Commissioner Solomon. It's a continuing education online certificate program that does allow people who are gaining social work licensure to gain credits towards licensure, but we're also getting it approved by continuing education in other schools as well. So urban planning, architecture. It's a series of different lectures that I created with the executive director of Detroit Disability Power, Dessa Cosma. Some of you may know she's a good friend and she's my boss. And it is a variety of modules from creating, how to evaluate design to make sure infrastructure is accessible. How do you evaluate and create social policies and systems to make sure they're accessible? Race and disability, the intersection of ableism and racism and how they're created. Universal design principles in education, sex, gender, and disability. And a lot of it features, some of it features all of these different lectures. They're University of Michigan professors who are really big in the field of disability. Some are from urban planning and architecture. Then there's also just activists who are huge activists in the realm of disability across the nation. Let me drop the link actually in the chat. And if any of you are interested in taking it, email me and I can try to set something up. Thank you for the question.
Commissioner Allen Pipkin?
Hi there, and welcome to the commission. Really excited about you and your work. I am familiar with you a bit. I am a fellow MSW grad from U of M too.
Hey.
So it's awesome to have you here in this space and bringing that lens. I definitely have many questions and want to pick your brain about various things, but in an effort of time and knowing I can do that on my own time, the question I'd like to have for the commission to have on record is, what is something that you would like to see this commission work towards or move forward? And what was your reasoning for joining our commission?
That's a really good question. I think the thing that I'm most excited about is the creation of an accessibility liaison. I would like to discuss with you all calling it something else besides ADA liaison, because I think we all know that we need to go above and beyond the ADA, right? And having someone who works within the city to help people, constituents navigate inaccessible systems at a variety of levels, social systems, physical infrastructure. I got involved with this commission because of a complaint that came to me from a Ward 3 constituent about who had a disability and was unable to shovel the snow on their sidewalk. And they received a ticket. And both this individual and their son were both disabled, and they couldn't do it. And they called the city and they were being asked to appear in court, and they said, we can't appear in court. And they said, don't worry about it. And I'm sure, the courts were well intentioned. And then they got a ticket for not appearing in court. And it was a huge mess, right? And a huge obstacle for someone who already has multiple marginalized identities with all the social and economic and every obstacle they already face. And I remember thinking to myself, what if there was one person at the city? Accessibility is something that has to be integrated into every department. But what if there was one person who could immediately take their case and call up the courts and call up public works and call up the police department and make sure that they are able to navigate these systems and we are being responsive in an accessible and inclusive way? That was a long answer to the question, but Detroit Disability Power just helped set up the Office of Disability Affairs in the city of Detroit. And it was long overdue. Cities of similar size have such offices, and they've shown that when offices and accessibility kind of liaison positions exist, there's greater economic well-being, there's greater use of infrastructure, and then there's more people aging in place, right? Because we're all going to be disabled at some point. And we end up being a community that also helps people who are older adults. There's a place they can call. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited about this position helping to train all of the commissions and staff on how they can also interface with the public in an accessible and inclusive way. So that was a lot of words, but that's what I'm excited about, and I hope you all are too. This is
Outstanding. Thank you.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Hi, so I'm Rachel Hawkins. I don't believe we've met. I'm also an MSW. I graduated from U of M, also have a disability, and just really excited to hear your passion about the work we're already doing and really welcome you and think this will be a great fit for you integrating, everything into City Council as well, and really being the person in the room that can speak to these different intersections of disability and identity, gender, race.
Thank you so much. And I also want to say, another big priority for me is to listen to all of you about what are the big glaring issues that you've seen? How is disability not being integrated into the conversation? I think there's going to have to be some information collecting, right? And all of this as well. But thank you for welcoming me, Rachel. I'm really excited to join. I'm excited to meet you.
Commissioner Mossack.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here with us to have a person who identifies as having a disability actually being a liaison and actually being on City Council is very exciting to me at this time. There are so many changes. Our Disability Commission worked closely with Mr. Milton Mahoney earlier this year to talk about the very thing that you discussed, which is an ADA liaison. And I'm very excited to hear there's someone here with a vested interest that can help move things forward. Sometimes as a commissioner, we don't always feel as though we are seen. And to be able to have someone right there in the trenches with lived experience, but also knowledge and the power to be able to affect change is very exciting to me. You did mention the ADA coordinator, but I'm wondering, as you're going into your first year of serving, do you have any other issues on your agenda that you are going to be moving forward? Like, what are your first plans of work?
That's a really good question. Firstly, thanks for the question. And I did meet with Laura Orto, who is the new director of organizational equity, yesterday about this position. And I gave her some ideas, and we talked about how the commission's involvement is so important. And I also talked to Mr. Mahoney, and he said, we need a job description from the commission before February to make it into the next budget cycle. It's something that I just want to talk about and mention. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. My main priorities right now is to make sure that equity is a part of every decision I make. And every decision I make and I don't make, I'm always thinking about who is going to be affected, who's included, and who's being left behind. As a social worker, as someone who's been an organizer, I always know that there's people that are going to be left behind, right? So always thinking about the repercussions of my actions. I'm working on some things right now around workers' rights. I'm a union member. I am one of the first union members as a council member. I want to bring that perspective in, and I want to make sure working people's voices are amplified in our policy making and our decision making, whether it's about housing or it's about urban planning, it's about infrastructure, because unfortunately the majority of the people who make the city run can't even afford to live here. But their voices are so needed in conversations about affordable housing, for example. So I'm working on something to really push some more workers' rights. Yeah, hopefully it might be a commission. It may be something else. We're figuring it out. I am also talking to Laura about some sort of mandated facilitation training for every council member and maybe chairs for each commission, every commission, that is about doing anti-racist inclusive facilitation. I think it should be a mandated training. And it's not because I think, you know, I mean, the best way to explain it is we've all been socialized to have certain, you know, perceptions of people and of others, and it affects the way we communicate and engage with the public. And in that communication, it leaves people out and it brings people in. And I think that as elected officials, we set a precedent in the way that we engage with the public, and what we do and say in this realm affects what people think is acceptable in other realms. So having some sort of training, and yeah, I don't know if it's going to be, I think there's going to be facets of anti-racism, facets of, you know, anti-ableism, because it needs to be holistic, right? And I'm working on that now. Otherwise, my other priorities are just helping us build more walkable, bikeable infrastructure while thinking about the fact that not everyone rides a bike and not everyone can drive a car. And you know, that's my opinion, and I brought it into a recent council decision about a conversation about TC1 zoning on West Stadium. I want us to achieve our you know, 820 goals, and at the same time, I want us to be a city that allows everyone who moves around in all the ways people move around. I want us to be a city that accommodates for that, right? And thinking about also the economic, you know, it's an economic justice issue as well. We live in a society that doesn't have prevailing wage, people who doesn't pay for childcare. Is it realistic for everyone to ride a bike? So I want us to think more comprehensively and holistically about these issues. So we are bringing in all types of people with all types of abilities. Thank you.
Outstanding. I really appreciate you, council liaison, councilwoman, and you know, echo those sentiments as well. I think we have time for like one more question, you guys, and then I'd like to, if that's okay, continue down our agenda.
Commissioner Hawkins has a hand up.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for your response. Just to provide some context, I wanted to mention as well that I've probably been on this commission maybe 4 years, and we have had a number of issues over the years with decisions being made completely without us, or stuff's not brought to Zach or Larry or other members of the team by city council or by the other commissions until it's already been decided, and they just want us to sign off on it and agree with what's been done. So I know that's been just to let you know that that's been like an ongoing discussion for probably at least, I don't know, maybe 2 years. And so I think it's really encouraging to know that you have a seat at the table and you are involved with us, and hopefully we can have more continuity and know about things earlier in the process so we can, you know, influence, you know, the direction of accessibility.
Yeah, definitely. And
Thank you.
I hope to do that. And I think it's also a process issue. You know, I think that we need someone with more of kind of like a bird's eye view of everything that's happening. And I think the accessible liaison is one part of that. I hope that position will sit on this. But I think that, you know, obviously that's my job. So things that are coming down the agenda, and I do have something I'm going to talk about later today, if they're, you know, maybe it will be at the next meeting. I can talk to you about it, Chair Damon. But yes, I hope to be vigilant and make sure that our voices are heard and our community is heard in decision making.
Thank you all. And Councilwoman, is it fair to say that if any other commissioners have any questions, comments, you know, anything like that, you know, that they are more than welcome to reach out to you, you know, with those comments or questions about your certification, which I think is outstanding, or any other issues that you've put forth today?
Yes, this is Aisha.
Awesome.
Absolutely. You know, I was going to say that please do reach out to me. If you want to have a Zoom coffee or meet in person, which is a little bit more difficult, but I'm always open. I'm always here, and I welcome it. And I think that's how, that's how good ideas are created. So I'm open anytime to meet with anyone. Can I ask one quick question, Denise?
Sure.
How do I, or Zach, how do I share the certificate program in this format? The link, do I put it in Q&A?
So Denise, I think you have to grant the participant the access, right? To
Right, hold on, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to make you a co-host and you can share.
Okay, great.
See that?
Yep, co-host. So now I can put in a question, or do I put it?
You should be
I
able
don't
to
know
put
the
it
chat
in the
in my Zoom. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
My team Zoom, I'm able to do that, but not in this Zoom
Yeah.
format. I'm not.
Okay, I can share the link with Denise afterward.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
can send
If
it
you
out.
can just
Yes.
send it to Denise and or myself, I can make sure that the commission has that. Absolutely.
That's great.
And your
Thank you.
email as well, if possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll send.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, moving forward, just so you guys know, as you know, Katie Monkevich could not be here today for the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled, so we will not be having her presentation. As far as the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living, Denise, do we have Joyce on?
No, I do not.
Okay. So no Joyce there. Next, we'll then move down to the Partners in Access and Community Engagement report. And since Alex is not here to report, Rachel, I was wondering if you had anything on community engagement.
So I spoke with Melissa Bondi with CTN. So they did not have a new Ann Arbor inclusive for November or December. They decided to take a break. They actually were regrouping this week and planning their topics for the first half of 2023. And they're open to any suggestions of any specific interviews or topics that the community would like to see as well. And then just also to mention that they had recently won Philo Awards for their content on Ann Arbor Inclusive just back in late October. So that was a big success. They were recognized out of over 150 entries, and this is a community media arts award that's comprises Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Michigan. So just to applaud the work that they're doing, and I'm excited to see what they do in 2023.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. And congratulations to Tom Hoatland, Melissa Bondi, all the staff at CTN for their great work. May I put in a quick suggestion? I think that maybe the new council liaison could be a great guest on Ann Arbor Inclusive, talking more about the great work that she's doing, but just a suggestion. So absolutely.
Only if you feel
you.
comfortable with that. I won't bring it up to them without you being comfortable.
Yeah, if I'd be happy to learn more. If you want to reach out and we can talk about more.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Chair Damon, Vice Chair Peeler has his hand up and he's here for the PIA as well.
Okay, Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I forgot the other thing Alex had, but the big thing that we were talking about was the resolution. Remember the resolution for best practices?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And we were thinking if we have a copy of that up there. Did we attach a copy of that, Denise?
We did.
we were thinking about.
It's under old business on the agenda, Larry. So once I do the
Okay,
chair
so we're
report,
thinking.
go ahead.
Hold on. We're going to have to discuss that. We want to make a decision because we want to put it through. We want to try to get it onto the city council agenda, next city council agenda, which I think we have to get it in by January 9th. Is that correct, Denise?
Yes.
And there might have been another point, but that was the big one that we discussed.
Hold on.
And that was under PIA.
Yes, not January 9th is the next city council meeting. So we can have anything before that. Here is Commissioner.
I thought that was the next time to put something on their agenda. So when is the next time to put something on their agenda?
Well, we will hopefully try to do that a couple of days beforehand, Larry, if possible.
Okay.
Denise,
I
I
can
just
help you
got
with
a
that.
message in the chat. Alex is looking to be brought into the room.
He's in.
Okay, thank you. All right. With that, Alex, if you are in and can hear us, I would just like you to, for the record, introduce yourself and then let us know where you're coming from today.
Hi, everybody. This is Alex Gossage, Commissioner, coming from my home in Ann Arbor. I apologize for being late today.
No problem. Is everyone okay with me going to the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living presentation? Alex, I know that Joyce was not on this afternoon, but I didn't know if you were able to just kind of give us a brief report on what the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living is up to.
I will give you a 10-second update. We are wrapping up for the year, which is partly why I was late today. Close beginning on Friday, December 23rd, and we will reopen on Thursday, January 5th. So we will be closed up until then.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. And then upon you joining us today, we were just going over the Partners in Access report, and Larry was telling us about the resolution that was drafted and that we really hope to have that on City Council's desk sooner than later. So was there anything else as far as Partners in Access that either Larry or Alex would like to speak of at this time?
I think that was the biggest piece. And then the other thing I think we talked about briefly was, I know we all probably could, but I just asked Denise when there are things that look like they're going to be on the city council agenda that could be related to the commission, if she could just reach out and let us know, that would be helpful if we're not able to get to reading the agenda beforehand.
Sure.
This is Aisha. One thing that I do think is going to be on that is important is the East Medical Drive bridge. Has anyone heard about that? So University of Michigan basically came to us, this is before I was on council, and asked if they could extend lanes on the bridge, on Maiden Lane leading up to the hospital. And it was voted yes, but the university promised that they would add some more increased kind of footpath on either side, but it ended up really not happening. And I mean, for the record, if I had been on at the time, I would have voted no, because I think it presents some accessibility issues for people who are walking and biking, and it's already a dangerous area. They also then committed to building a path, a walkway. So the city said, okay, if you do this, will you build a walkway under the bridge? We just received a memo that the walkway can't happen because part of it is butting up against the right of way of the railroad, which is owned by MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation. So some people have proposed, well, why don't we, and now this is for the walkway under the bridge, why don't we shrink the size of it? And that might be an accessibility issue. I think us having an overall opinion on this is important from an accessibility stance, right? Because there's less walkable, bikeable infrastructure on the bridge in general with this project going through. And then what they were going to build to kind of underneath to make up for that is now being scratched. So I think that's something that we should talk about more. I can share that memo. Let me find that memo.
Yeah, thank you. If you could put a link to that in the chat, that'd be great. All right. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, Councilwoman, and we definitely appreciate that. Moving forward, I guess if there isn't anything else from Partners in Access or community engagement, I would like to move on to recruiting activity with Vice Chairman Keeler.
Nothing much from me. I've been trying to get a hold of a couple of people, but I have also been busy. I haven't heard from them back, so I will try again. The recruiting effort is going on. I've got their information. I'm just trying to chase them down. But with holiday season, it's probably going to be a little more difficult. But we will do that. And of course, I could always use later on. I could always use help dealing with that. Help with that. So that's the report there.
Yeah. Thank you, Larry. And, definitely appreciate your efforts there in making sure that we have, qualified and enthusiastic residents and community members who would like to serve on the commission. Next, we have the U of M Council for Disability Concerns meeting update. And I guess I would say at this point, I know that Matthew had, volunteered to fill that seat. I wasn't sure if, he's been kind of up to date on the last meeting. Kathleen, I know you're online. Didn't also know if you had any additional information, but would either of you like to share about the U of M Council for Disability Concerns?
I certainly can address that and begin by thanking Kathleen for her long and dedicated service on that commission and the great work she's done in liaising with our commission. I think it's an important relationship. And just again, thank you, Kathleen, for long service on that. This was my maybe second or third meeting attended, and I can say that all the meetings are open. So anyone who wants to join by Zoom is fully accessible in that fashion. Everyone is welcome. I was, really just immediately felt the inclusive atmosphere that's cultivated on that commission. So that was delightful, and I'm looking forward to serving further. There were three main issues that I wanted to kind of bring to your attention from the latest meeting. The minutes were not available as I understand it. So I'll do my best to kind of summarize, the major takeaways. The first is that Christina Klein, who has long been the ADA coordinator for U of M, is leaving U of M to take a similar position at Duke University. So that position was just announced today online, and it might be some helpful for us to review those job descriptions and thinking about our own, position, which, very inspired by a council person idea that it's not just about ADA compliance, it's about inclusivity. So, we might think about even being a little more creative with that job description, depending on what the input is from others and from city. So Christina Klein stepping down, replacement to be determined. One of the initiatives that she's been spearheading is CART services, which will allow anyone at U of M who's having an event to get full sign language interpretation for those events. And so that pilot program will be running for 2 years. Anybody who's working within the U of M system, who's holding an event, can apply and get the help of that office to support CART services. And last but not least, there was a time at the end of the meeting when community members were invited to report on what they were doing, I was able to report on our commission and mainly the creation soon of an ADA coordinator position, which was, a lot of affirmation coming from the CFDC for that initiative. I will do my best to keep them fully updated on how that job description, posting, hiring practice evolves. So those are the three things I wanted to report.
Thank you, Commissioner Solomon. All great things. We're sorry to see Ms. Klein leave, but I would echo your comments that if there's a way for us to see the university posting in some way, the commission to view that, or if we have an opportunity to review that information in some form. If it could be sent over to us as a resource while we draft this, job description for the city ADA coordinator, I personally think that it would be extremely helpful. Not sure what the stipulations are on that, if there are any, but I think having a basis to go off of, as you stated, is very, very helpful. So if you're able to find out if they can, or if there's a way to just send us a link to that posting, that would be great.
Hey, Zach,
Went online
it did
today.
go.
It went
Yeah,
online,
I was
yeah.
just gonna say it went online today, so you can find it on the U of M jobs website. So it's public.
Great. If there's a way that one of you can email that link, that would be great. All right.
I just have,
Councilwoman, go ahead.
so, I met with Laura Orto after I met with Mr. Dahoney about this position. I expressed that I think it needs to be an accessibility liaison, not ADA. I want to go above and beyond ADA compliance here. And there were several ideas, that I put forth, and I said I wanted more ideas to come from Kodai, from all of you, about what this position could do. And Laura we've created a folder kind of internally within the city to start working on things. And the city has also provided some job descriptions. I don't know if it would be appropriate for us to kind of form a work group between now and the end of February when this is due to Mr. Dahoney. I also want to just flag that I'm meeting with Christopher Samp, who is for the Office of Disability Affairs. He's one of the directors there in Detroit. And I've invited Laura Orto to that as well. And if any of you would like to come, please feel free to join. And we're going to basically talk to Christopher about how did you set up some of these positions, and what do you see as being essential?
Wonderful. Yeah, if you could please loop myself in to that meeting, I would love to be a part of that, Councilwoman. And hopefully any other commissioners at this time who are interested, please let Councilwoman know, and hopefully you can be a part of that. Also, on that point with Mr. Dahoney, I am planning, Councilwoman, to loop you into the discussions of the city ADA coordinator that Laura's been a part of, that others on the commission have been a part of, in terms of the interest, what's been said, what's been done up to this point. So I will be doing that before the end of the week, just so Mr. Dahoney also is, I'm sure he's aware at this point anyway, but just so you're on the email chain so that you can see the discussions that have already taken place, and we can kind of continue that motion that's already going forward.
That would be great.
Sure. All right. But thank you so much for that information.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Mosaic has her hand up.
Yeah, Kathleen.
I just wanted to add that I would like to be looped into that meeting as well.
Okay, great. I can add you to that. It's going to be in early January. And, in the meantime, I think that at least one person from the commission, myself and Laura, should strive to meet or more from the commission in early January, just to make sure that all of our ideas are going to be reflected in this. Because it sounds like there's a lot of parallel conversation happening about the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. Just different branches of the same tree, if you will. So absolutely.
Excuse me, what's your Aisha, what's your email? I'm just sending this out to everyone, but I don't have your email.
Sure. It's A Ghazi, so Ghazi Edwin, EDWIN at a2gov.org.
Perfect. I'll get that sent over. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate that. All right. If there isn't anything else in terms of U of M Council for Disability Concerns or anything else, I'd like to move on to the city personnel report with Denise.
Thank you. Okay, hold on. Okay, the city is welcoming Hank Kelly, Deputy Planning Manager, Nathan Fleck, Public Works Technician, Elizabeth Williams, 15 District Court Clerk, and a retirement farewell to Kevin Schlick, Senior Police Officer. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Denise, and welcome, and also congratulations to both those joining us and who have also earned their retirement. That is a great accomplishment. So thank you.
No problem.
Next, we're going to move on to the chair report. Biggest thing I was going to really touch on in the chair report this particular meeting. Number one, I encourage all of us that have an interest in media, the Nothing About Us Without Us Film Festival, which is a disability focused film festival that many have partnered with, and including our own Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living have put together. I believe this is the third annual, don't quote me on that, but very excited to see a film festival that is disability focused in terms of the issues that these films do put on the forefront of thought. Everything from accessibility to different issues that are coming about in our society in terms of disability, equity, and inclusion. So I encourage all of you. I think that information has been sent out to the full commission. If you're not submitting as a filmmaker, as somebody that has a project that you want to show, I do encourage all of you to keep an eye out for when that festival is launched virtually, because I would really like, in my opinion, all of us on the commission to attend, be it seeing one or two films and showing our support. I think it's something that, obviously is important. And, disability representation in media is continuing to improve, which I think is a great thing. But we still have a long way to go to make sure that the PWDs, the performers with disabilities, and also the stories that are told accurately with those specific disabilities in mind. So Nothing About Us Without Us Film Festival, they are getting submissions now, but will be going on, I believe, sometime in March or April. But again, as I get more information, I'll also send it your way as well. But right now, that's really the biggest thing that I have to report as far as the chair report is concerned. Any questions?
Oh, excuse me. Vice Chair Keeler has his hand up.
Okay, Larry.
Well, I'll ask this question, and then if there's any actual questions. Did you mean to forget did you mean, Mr. Chair, to skip the transportation report?
Oh my gosh.
I just wanted a few minutes.
Yeah.
But if there's any questions on this subject, let them happen. I'm just letting you know that
I am so sorry. I am so sorry about that, folks. Yeah, Larry, I did skip over that. That was my fault. So I will
Just wondered if
say
you
if anybody has any questions about the Nothing About Us Without Us Film Festival, please reach out to Elliot Carter at the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living. But yes, if all of you don't mind, I would like to correct my brief faux pas and go to the Transportation Commission update with Vice Chairman Keeler.
Well, there wasn't a lot that would concern us, but there was some things. There was a resolution that had passed that's going to go to City Council that's requesting more money from a fund ALT that from 5 to 20% that will, instead of being used for driving issues, will be used for other stuff like APSs, their curb cuts, that kind of thing. And that passed. The calendar passed, and then they gave a report. I'm looking for. This meeting is the 16th of November, and so they were looking at alternative propulsion, like battery and hybrid systems for the buses coming up. And they were talking about getting in the crash report, which is going to be a little more complicated to take care of the new crash report. And they're also looking into more speed management devices to deflect traffic and slow it down. And let's see what else I have here. Okay. And the street resurfacing is pretty much finished, and AATA is talking about increasing some of the bus routes into later on in the evening and mostly running more frequent buses in the afternoon. And the transportation report from 12/15/22, which was last week, that's why I had to run them both together. Councilwoman Briggs is replaced by Councilman Almond. I think it's how Achman is how it's pronounced. And we went over the work plan, and 7th Street construction was talked about. Crosswalk design was talked about, working on, and of course we're working on the annual report, so we might see that next month. They're wanting to put in a new APS at Huron and 7th, and another one at Jackson Ravina. And there's another note about the AATA service, as I mentioned, about coming on again for more in the evening. And there was also a plan that was sort of put out, just a general idea about maybe making Main Street into a mall eventually. That was a possibility, but it hasn't come up yet. And the other thing is, I heard mention that at least another the Transportation Commission is interested in our resolution, and I think they're planning to draft a resolution as well to submit to City Hall. So what we got. But Erica Briggs is no longer on there, so I thought that was the major thing that you might want to know.
Thank you, Larry. I do appreciate all your efforts on the Transportation Commission, and being the liaison for the Commission on Disability Issues with that. We really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions for Larry about the Transportation Commission update?
Commissioner
Kathleen?
Rozak?
Yep.
I don't have a question. I just want to add to what Larry said. If the public or any of the commissioners have any questions or concerns with regards to AATA and their propulsion, they just began discussions and had a board retreat in October. We also passed a long-range plan in August that discusses service updates, increasing hours at night, in the morning, on the weekend, that sort of thing. They can go to theride.org, and all of that is available for your consumption.
Thank you, and absolutely appreciate AAATA, the ride, and all of the hard work the transit staff do. They have been constantly going and never stopped, even during a pandemic. So definitely appreciate their services as well. All right.
Can I ask a quick clarifying question? This is Aisha.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
About the Kodai resolution, can I ask about that? Can you guys tell me a little bit more information about the resolution? You're hoping it comes to council January 9th?
Correct. I can talk about it, but I would rather have our commissioner who volunteered to take that on with PIA or Partners in Access, Commissioner Gossage, speak upon that. He did a wonderful job drafting. And Alex, do you mind answering Councilwoman's questions?
No, that's no problem at all. And also, I can email it to you. I wasn't sure if you had gotten looped in because I think it was all going on when things were transitioning around. So I have your email and I'll send that over to you.
Alex, I just sent a copy, but I'm not certain if that's the most up-to-date one. So we have at least one copy sent.
Is.
So
Essentially, though, Councilmember Briggs had reached out to me as through the CIL as talking about some concerns that she had with some intersections that were being put in, specifically curb cuts, and how they were technically following ADA, but just as you had mentioned earlier, we really need to be thinking beyond that and thinking about something that's really going to be safer for folks. And I think what the council, or what the commission rather, is interested in doing is one, making sure that things like this are not happening in general. So having more of a regular, I think, connection or relationship as these sorts of building projects come up so that we can add input as needed. And then, for this one, I think we can, if we want to, push to have them redo it. It's in a residential neighborhood. The way that they were set up, it could potentially lead an individual to walking into the middle of the intersection versus across the street.
Are you talking about the fan crosswalk and Arbor View? Is that what you're?
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard.
But I think largely though, it's more of having that connection with the city as they're putting these in, to making sure that they're putting them in the best way possible and thinking about best practices. Years ago, the CIL had sued the city to basically redo a number of curb cuts. I believe that consent decree ended in the last year or two. So I know that they're not under that any longer, but again, it's just something to kind of keep on top of, whether it's curb cuts or anything else that's going to affect access and safety. And then as far as the resolution itself, by all means, please, if there's things to update or change in there. I haven't written a resolution in some years, so I just kind of took a whack at it and shared it.
Yeah, I appreciate you writing this and I appreciate you sharing it. I think that clarifying, it says in resolution to recommend city staff incorporate best practices in addition to ADA compliance. I think we have to specify what best practices mean. Okay. And I think part of that is specifying that we need to be consulted, like writing out Kodai should have at least X number of meetings prior notice on some of these issues, or receive an official report from whatever commission is introducing it, most likely planning or transportation. What do you all think?
I agree with that. I think that's definitely accurate, and it's good to list in there. Absolutely. Alex, I think with, you taking the best whack, I thought it was a very valiant effort. And I thought that, it was understandable to the point. One other addition that I would also suggest would be, in terms of, the language, if it's presented to construction workers, I think some of the language in there said something to the effect of, that they were additions or add-ons. But I know construction workers typically, when they talk in terms of, doing additions or remodels and things like that, if we're using something like rehabilitation to a construction project, I'm sure everyone, who is of sound mind would definitely understand. But just from my limited experience, I also understand too that in certain industries, if it's put on someone's desk and it's not worded in the vocabulary in which they are accustomed, that can unfortunately lead to them being like, oh, well, I don't exactly know what this means, even though we all know what rehabilitation means, since it's not a remodel or an addition or the kinds of rhetoric that they use. That could be potentially grounds for them saying, oh, well, we don't know what this means, ergo, we're not necessarily going to take it seriously. And so that would just be, another point would be to just, instead of rehabilitation, maybe put in addition or remodel or whatever kind of constructive language that they use, so that it's clear, concise to them and to their industry. Yeah, what do you think, Councilwoman? Is that a formality, or would that be a correct assessment?
I'm thinking about we have to think about what we're exactly asking for, right? Are we asking for every new project, every revision, every rehab to come to us? Because that will delay the process, right? And that may really push back on, there probably won't be a lot of agreement on that among council. Are we asking that a report is generated specific to our committee at least a few months in advance, the second that contracts are established, that lays out what's happening with TC1, what's happening with different zoning, what's happening with buildings? That seems more doable. And then giving us an appropriate amount of time to review it and ask questions. Does it mean that we become voting on it? You know what I mean? Do we become voting? Obviously I would vote and I'd represent our interests. I think the other thing that needs to be included in here is that we hope this accessibility liaison will report back to us in this exact way. Sitting on housing and saying, we need to know where all affordable, accessible units are, that they would sit on TC1 on zoning and talk about amendments to increase sidewalks or whatnot, their setbacks. Does that make sense? Kind of how are we asking this to be operationalized, I guess, is my question.
Right. I think that makes sense. But I would like to again lead into Alex. Alex, do those suggestions make sense to you?
I think that makes sense, and I definitely would like the accessibility coordinator to be more involved in these sorts of things in the long term. I think just in the short term, trying to make sure that there's somebody that's helping to support these initiatives as they go forward. But I think a report would be fine. I'd be happy to sit down with you and try to draft some of these out in further language if you'd like to do that, or however we'd like to proceed. I'm perfectly fine with going with.
I think that we should do that, and I think that we should potentially think about pushing this from January 9th to the second meeting in January.
Okay.
Really, and this might actually be an ordinance where we ask, where we request that the city put in they operationalize it. They figure out a process to make sure that we're involved instead of us coming up with a process, right? That part of ADA compliance and above and beyond ADA is making sure we always have a seat at a table. So we want to direct you all to do that and come back and propose it to us, and let's figure it out.
Absolutely. And Alex, as usual, or Councilwoman, if you need any assistance or would like to loop me in on that, for a second set of eyes, please feel free to do so. But again, I know all of you are very capable, and Alex, again, I appreciate you taking this on and taking the responsibility to get this done. But I guess for the sake of this meeting and our conversation on this, so are we okay then to, per Councilwoman's suggestion, to continue to review this, to make some revisions to this resolution, and then push a revised draft at the further council meeting in January? I don't know the exact date of that, but off the top of my head, but I would like to state, as this resolution stands right now, we will continue to make edits and then, of course, revisit this at the next meeting.
Yeah, let's make edits.
Okay.
Let's make edits.
So, okay. Is everyone okay? I would like to.
Commissioner Solomon has his hand up.
Okay. Commissioner Solomon?
Yeah, I very much liked Councilperson Ghazi Edwin's idea of putting this to the city, which is to say that at the present time, the procedures are not acceptable because mistakes like this occur. The other thing that I would hazard to guess is that there's already universal design principles out there for construction, that we don't need to reinvent the wheel, that those things exist. Where they exist, I don't know, but the city is clearly not consulting them. So this is a compliance issue, and it's also an issue for this new position. But I don't think, again, hearing how this discussion has progressed, that us making a resolution is necessarily the most constructive way to handle this. We have definitely spotted an issue. Again, thanks to Commissioner Gossage and thanks to some alert members of this body. But I'm not sure that it's incumbent upon us to introduce this resolution. I don't know. Other thoughts?
Commissioner Keeler's hands up.
Yeah, Commissioner.
So my question is,
I'm
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Kathleen.
Commissioner Mosaic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Kathleen, not Larry. I am looking at our
Sorry.
I'm looking at our calendar, and it looks like our meeting is on the 18th of January. And I think you said the next council meeting was the 23rd. Is that enough time for us to get it on their agenda, Councilwoman?
You
I
know,
think the next council meeting is the 21st.
I'm sorry, what was that, Denise?
No, I'm sorry. The next council meeting is January 23rd at 7 p.m.
Yep, January 23rd. I think we need to have we should have a conversation with Laura first about this, because the accessibility liaison will be under her department, right? And this is something that she can help to advocate for us as part of the new processes she's putting in place in the city. Right now, she's putting a variety of things in place, and she talked to me about wanting to also include accessibility. And it may not need to be a resolution. I understand that a written commitment means a lot, right? And council voting on it. But at this point, this is so vague that there could just be a lot could be kind of left off the table that I think is necessary. So I think going to Laura, because it's her job, and saying, listen, we feel really left out. And in between now and getting this position, we need to have a seat at the table. What can you do to help us create some policy so we're always involved? Might at least be the first thing that we should do is meet with Laura. What do you all think about that? Like taking a step back.
I agree with that approach. I think it's the logical approach, especially as you mentioned, Councilwoman, that Laura is there to do that job, and that's why she's there. I would say, kind of, I guess, the next steps on that then would be to, reach out to her and schedule a time to talk about that. But of course, being that Commissioner Gossage, you brought this instance of many, of course, to our attention. Do you feel comfortable reaching out to Laura, or would you like myself or Councilwoman to do that?
I think the council member and I can get together and we can reach out and set up something. I don't have a problem with that.
Great. Thank you.
This isn't something that we have to rush on. They're not going to do any construction in the immediate future on these kinds of things. So
sure. And I would definitely loop this in possibly just with the Partners in Access committee. So maybe having her attend that and that be a topic of discussion, but just my 2 cents.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think
Vice Chair Keeler's hand.
okay, Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's been up for a minute. So then the question is, would we table the further work on the resolution until we meet with our new accessibility coordinator and find out if we actually need it, and if we do, continue work on the resolution? So in other words, we're not going to vote on the resolution on what we're going to do with it today, right? So would we table that resolution then until see if it needs further work, or see if we can do something with our new accessibility coordinator?
Larry, I'll do my best to answer that for you. I think it's best to say that I would prefer to table the resolution so that Partners in Access can meet, and that meeting spoke of with Laura can happen, and the appropriate processes can be discussed. Whether that needs to be voted on at this time, we can vote on it if you'd like, but I don't necessarily see a need.
You don't see a need to vote on it. It was on even if it's on the agenda. I think we should probably vote on whether to table it until we get this information in.
Okay, I respect that. So, with that being said, I guess sure, let's do that. Okay, is there a move to table the CODA resolution that has been drafted until further evaluation on the processes and the edits and rewrites can be put into that resolution for it to effectively be put in front of City Council's desk?
I would move to table it.
Okay, Larry moves. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, Matthew seconds.
So
So
that's
all
just
in
formal
favor?
procedure.
Go ahead, Larry.
I said just formal procedure. So
Thank you.
go ahead, call it.
Thank you. Yes, all in favor of tabling the CODI resolution that has been drafted for this particular intersection. Please unmute and say aye.
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 All right. Thank you very much. Okay. And with that being said, Commissioner Gossage, however you and Councilwoman want to organize that, again, to me, this falls under Partners in Access, especially because it was, drafted under that. But however, either of you would like to set up that meeting, that's up to you.
Oh, I'd like to be included in it since I'm Partners in Access too.
Okay. Noted. All right. Moving forward, do we have any new business at this time? Okay. No new business. Any other additional communications or announcements to make? At this time. All right.
I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
want to just make sure that we have the next steps for that accessibility liaison. Who I think that me and maybe Chair Damon and anyone else, we should have a meeting with Laura early January. So let's schedule that. And
Yes.
then Alex, Larry, I can reach out to Laura about scheduling a meeting, or her maybe attending the Partners in Access meeting.
Great.
And it's talking to her and telling her like, this isn't acceptable and we need you to help us in between now
Right.
and getting an accessibility liaison. And maybe one of the first things accessibility liaison does with Laura is helps the city to create some sort of disability inclusion statement. Maybe it's a resolution. I mean, maybe it's something that we could incorporate into our non-discrimination ordinance, but something that just states that all council members vote on that we're not going to leave you behind in all these processes.
And we usually have our meetings second Wednesday of the month at 5, but if it's not convenient, let us know, and I would probably move that. Would you agree with that, Alex?
Oh yeah, that's completely fine.
That sounds good for me also.
Second Wednesday of the month. Yeah, that would have to be moved because that's when I have my Human Rights Commission meeting. And you don't have to move it on an ongoing basis, but for at least.
No, I'm good with that though for that day.
I'm sorry, what was that, Larry?
I said I'm good for that. Just let us know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send some emails and I'll follow up on these items.
Right. Any other announcements or communications this evening? All right. Well, with that, folks, I will adjourn our meeting. Is there anyone that, well, what I would like to do is I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll move to split. I mean, I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you, Larry. Move to adjourn. Okay, is there a second?
Everybody wants to stay here.
Yeah, thank you. All right, all in favor of adjournment of the Commission on Disability Issues meeting at 5:18 p.m. Please unmute and say aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, folks, we are adjourned. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today for the Commission on Disability Issues meeting. And of course, I would like to thank, again, Councilwoman Edwin for her time and for joining us. And of course, thank the City of Ann Arbor for their resources and their time, making sure that we are doing the work that we need to do to keep Ann Arbor safe, accessible, and inclusive for all. For more, you can visit the Disability Resource page on the city website, or if you need anything else, please feel free to reach out to Denise or myself with any comments or questions. Thank you to CTN and the City of Ann Arbor, and we'll see you next month. Goodbye, everybody.
See you next year.
Happy holidays.